Howdy, howdy, howdy. Finally, senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and to all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day. And remember, no matter who you are valid. And if you are a bigot, that is a terrible character flaw. Well, hokey smokes, as you can see from the stuff on my arms here, I've been at the hospital. Cardiac stress test. Had an IV on this side, so that's what this is all for. Compression on the artery where they had pierced me with the plastic, well, the metal, and then left plastic behind the tube. And then this one, of course, my ID, so that they could make sure that I was me and they weren't going to do the wrong thing to the wrong person. But the stress test had less stress than I thought it was going to be. At first, I got onto a table, put my arms above my head. I was laying down, so I'm not going to do it now, otherwise I'd be, oh boy. And it took 20 minutes, but they did a shot of my heart. I had an isotope for the imaging, but past that, no medication. Then we went in for the stress part of the stress test, except what they do is instead of putting you in through a stress, they give you a medication that simulates putting your body through stress, so that your body kind of reacts like it would if it were actually being stressed with no danger. And then the medication fades, and then they monitor to see how your body is reacting to that stress, and then they're done. So it's a medication that they administer IV. They warn you it's going to be weird. Now, I was prepared, because the imaging stuff can really feel weird and give you feelings that you don't have words for. And this was going to be a weird one, and they said it can get very unpleasant. After all, stress simulation. At first they asked me, how you doing? What are you feeling? I didn't feel anything for probably twice as long as most people go. Then I went, oh boy, because suddenly I was short of breath. And I didn't mention it, but the lights in the room got a little bit dimmer. I didn't think about it at the time. And I had all sorts of fun little effects like that. The last real thing they asked me was, how do you feel? And it was like, that feeling you get after you've been inhaling helium, which I think is basically hypoxia. But then that faded away too. And then they kept checking my blood pressure, and they had EKG leads all over me. And then, when that was done, I got breakfast, because that helps with the effects of the medication. And caffeine can help with the after effects of the medication. The actual effects did not last more than 5 minutes, if even that. The medication affects you and then is gone, like in about 9 seconds. Your body metabolizes it that quickly. But the effects of that go on for like that 5-minute period where you're short of breath and you can have chest pains and more. I didn't. I just had at the beginning, the shortness of breath, and then just weird feelings. And again, I forgot to tell him that I was getting the dimness of vision, but then it was all over. And then I had breakfast, which was awful, but it was, hey, it was there. There were largely tasteless scrambled eggs. There were, oh boy, two brittle pieces of bacon, 2 actually not bad sausages, and then some 2 dry hash browns in chunks, not the little strips. It was cut into pieces. And so I had that for breakfast with a cup of tea, because they also say that caffeine can help get rid of the effects of the medication. And then, after that was done, back over to the place where I'd first gotten the imaging, and then another, lay back on the table, hands above my head, and then 17 minutes and change for that imaging. So I've got the 2-week follow-up done that I need to call up and find out again when those days are. But I do have the follow-up ready so I can find out what the results are of this. So very good. Definitely a thumbs up. Yesterday, I actually went a bit early. I guzzled a shot by first going to the THC. God, I can speak English, I promise you. I need to drink too. I am dehydrated. I bought and drank a THC shot, and then when I got back here, I went and ate my melatonin stuff, and I still woke up at like 4 o'clock from pain. And my alarm was set for 5. While I didn't exactly sleep between 4 and 5, I did rest. And then, here I am now. I was lightly falling asleep during some of the imaging, and right now, I am dying from pain. So, thumbs up for that. One of the things that I may show off right here is this camera has one of those slide over camera, the privacy shutters. Told you I can talk. It has a plastic privacy shutter so that you don't want anyone to see it, you just slide it over. But as a visual effect, if you just push it over a little bit, because it's focused here, that is a blurry, out of focus, kind of artifacty effect on the side where the shutter is. And it looks, at least on the monitoring, because I use just the plain camera app that comes with Windows. And it has in the background a square with a divided into 9 pieces grid so that you can make sure you're doing the 2/3 rule and all that. So I'm watching myself, but when the slider is over just a little bit, oh, the effect is so cool. Let's see if I can do it without actually moving too much around, because it's just, the shutter is just over. But it's like that. It's like, it looks weird. And as an effect, that is cool. And I just thought that was something to talk about because I wanted to talk about that. So thumbs up on that. Now, what else I have on here is in the other room, I have the Dungeon Bash stuff. The more I've read about Dungeon Bash, there's actually one thing that makes it more difficult for me to play. It uses, for the actual combat rules, the D20 rules, which is the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 3.5. I don't have any of that. You can download for free the 3.5 SRD, which is all the rules of 3.5, but not presented in the format of a playable book, but it's 1,000 pages of basically, here's our rule set in alphabetical order. So I just need to figure out the DC thing that they use, or the CR, combat rating, because it uses the combat rating. If you can't figure the combat rating, you're not going to be able to properly balance the battles. So that's kind of irritating, but That's fine. I've been trying to figure out and download and read stuff. So even if I don't have the exact rules, I can still use something that's close as long as it has the CRs. Now, the other stuff that I still have and wanted to talk about, I've not so much fallen in out of love with Scarlet Heroes, which is, it's an OSR game where the rules are very, very similar because of OSR to White Box and a million other games out there that are OSR types, whether they're based on the old D&D or they're their own thing to simulate that. I've been falling less out of love with Scarlet Heroes, but still it does have a section for generation of world and dungeons that keeps it a very valuable resource. But I have downloaded some things for White Box, except they're not really for just White Box. They're for Swords and Wizardry White Box. They are extra classes and some extra monsters for the game Swords and Wizardry White Box. This is from a different company, different group of peoples entirely. It's not Swords and Wizardry White Box. It's White Box. Fantastic adventure, well, fantastic medieval adventure game. Compatible with Swords and Wizardry. I took a look at some of the monsters that are in the one bestiary book with monsters on it. They presented a stat block of Swords and Wizardry monsters. And I looked at the descriptions of monsters in White Box. Yeah, they are exactly the same. They aren't just similar. They aren't just juggled around. They aren't just... No, they are exact. This, I don't know how they haven't gotten in trouble. White Box is just Swords and Wizardry White Box. So, I have no ideas. But this is fun. It's interesting. I like it. I have my characters that are on these cards that I still have not finished because ADHD, executive dysfunction stuff, but I had the beginnings of my characters. If you have 15 or above, you get 5% extra XP if that is your primary class. Like, this is a thief, so dexterity of 15, that's a 5% experience bonus. Then once you get your equipment, you're supposed to roll for your gold and then purchase your equipment. I'm just going to write down some equipment that doesn't, it's not everything that's massive, expensive, and the best, just beginning character stuff, and then go with that. So, thumbs up. What else do I have over on there? Oh yes, yesterday I was talking about how the hulat, which just means people or us. So there's hulat and then ahulat, which is not us, which is animals. So the hulat, the habani and the orkani and the apani, how they're the equivalent of goblin races without being goblins, where the apani are 4.5 foot tall on average. The habani they're the equivalent of us, so they're as tall as we are, averaging about, I'd say about 5'10", which is like I think it's 5'8" or 5'9" is the average in the U.S. So we're going to go with 5'10" as the average. And then the Orkani averaged about 6'6", which means, of course, they have some Orkani that tower above even them, and then some that are short as just your average Habani. And some of the Habani are very tall and very short. There is variation. It is genetics, after all. But one of the things I mentioned about them is they have larger teeth and thus larger jaws, larger upper and lower jaws. They have kind of a muzzle effect. A little bit, not a ton. They don't look animalistic. But on some of them, it definitely has a sort of muzzle look. And there are those, because they have larger teeth, and the larger teeth and the larger jaws, where they had to chew anything, like cow teeth. You know how they chew grass for a long time? They had, those that lived had the teeth that could chew anything to survive, because where they evolved, when the war of the previous people that lived on the planet rearranged the face of the planet massively and cut off this group from the rest of the ancient species, it was a terrible place that they had to spend the next like 3 million years growing up in. It was horrific. So yes, they had to really be tough and strong to survive, or they would not have survived. They had to do a whole lot. So yes, they have bigger teeth with a lot of more flat molars. Their front teeth, yeah, their choppers are very sharp, and they do have larger canine and eye teeth, which means they do have, from some of them, the two lower teeth that jut up from behind their lower lip. Not exactly looking like tusks. They don't have tusks. But because of how they had to grow, yeah, they got bigger of those piercer teeth. And yeah, some of them do jut up and out. So thumbs up on that. Yay! But the Orcani are, well, all of them have the capability to be any kind of people that they want to be, from serious to non-serious, from having a sense of humor to not. They are, each one of them is an individual. But on the whole, you can see the Orcani in power structures. They are very, no sense of humor, sticking to the subject at hand, stick up their ass types. Just, they're a pain to be around, because they take things completely serious all the time. And ugh, I mean, they have to. They have that more instinctive connection with the land, so they know what's going on. They answer to something. Not all of them. The ones with the greater connection move upward in power structures to become tribal leaders and such. About half the population has a connection that no more or worse than anybody else's. But then it starts to climb upward, and their connection, instinctive connection, goes upward. And as stated, the greater the connection, the higher up in the power structures of the Orcani they are. And of course, time for call to action. If you could like, comment, share, subscribe, that'd be very, very cool. Definitely a thumbs up. Oy vey. Why did I say that? I don't know. But if you could do all that stuff, that'd be awesome. My brain, sometimes it functions and sometimes And if you're a patron, thumbs up and thank you. You are beautiful and awesome people. When you look in the mirror, well, if somebody tells you that you're not beautiful and awesome, you know they're lying. Because in that mirror, you see someone who is beautiful and awesome physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And if you've left me a comment, thumbs up and thank you. I read every comment that is available. I thumbs up or heart each one that I can, and I answer as many as my bloody nerve compression will let me, which is definitely not as many as I would like right now. But I am going to take care of myself today, as I have been doing. I don't know why I made that sound like some kind of grand change in plans. As stated, sometimes my brain works, and other days are today. It could be the medications, it could be stress, it could be the lack of sleep, could be a lot of things. Oy vey. I'm not even Jewish. I don't even have anybody in my family that's Jewish. So sometimes my brain works. Hopefully you can get done the things that you would like to get done. And if not, please do not beat yourself up. That will not help you get it done better next time. And you do deserve better. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side. And that is indeed a very, very good thing. And I have had to really pick up using this arm because I can't really with this arm, which is stressing out this arm, which means I can't use this arm as much. I hope you have a very, very good day. And now I am going to click the stop recording button.